What is going on, my stock market bulls and bears? I'm your host, Terry, and welcome to my channel, baby. Buy the dip, guys. I got two OTC MJ plays today. Let's just keep it that way, MJ. So, we got interviews with two CEOs from two different companies, but they kind of did the interviews like merged in together. So, you will hear from one of the CEOs, and they're both the CEOs are kind of on at the same time, but we will go in here and pull up the charts of each one before we go and listen to those CEO interviews. And we'll talk just briefly about the companies and just look over their chart real quick. And I'm going to let the CEOs talk about what they, about their company and what they're doing and let you guys see if it's something you could be interested in. As we know, the MJ space is going to be growing with that legalization over, the whole United States here. And we'll see if that happens. And if it does, these things can take off. Guys, one of these is only 8 cents. Now, the other one is a little pricey. It is a little pricey for an OTC stock. Honestly, it's one of the more expensive OTC stocks I've ever seen. It's like around $13, $14. But as we say, they can't get off the OTC because it's just not legal yet. So they're stuck on the OTC. So guys, hope you all ready for today's video. Hit that thumbs up. Got that Webull link down below. Deposit $100, get yourself some free stock. And guys, got that Patreon link down below. Join up, $5 a month. You would have had these OTC plays before. You're seeing them right now. You would have had this about a day early, and you might have missed out on some. See what the price difference is. But people on my Patreon got this early. Got this a day or two early. So, guys, let's get to the video, baby. Let's go.
Cannabis stocks have been among the best performers this year, and the thinking is maybe it's time for federal legalization of cannabis. So with me, two experts here to talk about this. We've got Keith Stauffer, the CFO of TerraSend, and also Matt Carnes, the founder of Green Wave Advisors, to talk about this industry. It's really been a hot industry so far this year. Keith, let's start with you. So we've got a new administration in the White House, one that is at least perceived to be friendlier to cannabis regulation, but Democrat House now as well. So, what do you think this might mean for the cannabis industry?
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me. First of all, it's tough to kind of take bets on where the government's going to head, but I think if I were just to say what would be best for a company like TerraSend or other multi-state operators in the U.S. in the industry, I think the first changes would be centered around banking reform and tax reform, 280E tax. And then the third would be some ability to uplist to U.S. exchanges. So if I just take the first couple first and take banking reform and tax reform and just apply it to the TerraSend example, just the hard cash savings from those two types of changes could equate to north of $1 billion of enterprise value increase in a company like ours.
So, Matt, we saw in November, 4 or 5 states pass varying legalizations of marijuana. It was South Dakota and Arizona, and I'm trying to remember all of them. There were several. Do you think that this will lead to more growth? And what is the size of the industry and the expected growth?
Sure. Well, thank you also for having us this morning. I would say that, yes, more states legalizing will contribute to the growth. It takes probably about a year or so, a year to 18 months for a new market to get implemented if there was no existing market. So in the case of this past election, we had Arizona and New Jersey, two existing medical markets that are robust, that are, Arizona actually has already started selling recreational use. So there'll be a quicker ramp up in sales revenues, going into this year and next. The size of the market last year, estimates are estimate about $20 billion for 2020, and going into this year, roughly about $25 billion. Most of that growth, again, is other states that have implemented a couple of years ago are starting to ramp up, and as well as the new states that have come online. Most of the growth is coming from new states, and then those existing states, we're starting to see some real organic growth year over year. And so, longer term, I mean, my crystal ball only goes out maybe 2 years. I think it's really hard to handicap year by year at this point because we're very close to the end zone. So I would just say, I look at the market now just after going to 2022, out to about, I would say the market at maturity is about 70 to $80 billion. And that doesn't even include the CBD market. This is just the retail sales for the THC products by and large.
Now, do you think it will have to be federally legal before the banking happens and the listing happens? That's the next thing that needs to happen for this industry, would you say?
There has to be some, not full federal legality, but there has to be some type of safe harbor language that's developed in these acts that will enable the exchanges to conclude that they can list these companies.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Matt, I mean, how should potential investors or people who are in this industry how should they watch it? How should they invest in it? Is it too late? I mean, we've seen a big run up in cannabis stocks already this year. And then what should they look for when looking for cannabis companies?
Well, first of all, I would say it's not too late. It just really depends on your time horizon. If you think of it in terms of just where we are in the industry's growth, if we are at 20 billion last year and it's expected to go to 80 billion plus, we're like maybe not even a quarter way there. So as much as these stocks have run, I really don't think they're valued to maturity at this point. So there's a long way to go. Now, can I predict the bottom and now get in? No, I mean, obviously there's volatility, but if you're in for the longer term, you really can't go wrong. And many of these multi-state operators that have started to demonstrate real operational efficiencies and improvement. And what I would also say is once prohibition ends, as I was saying earlier, there is a cost of prohibition, right? There's a high tax rate, there's compliance costs. Keith would know better than I, really all the nuts and bolts that are behind everything. But really, once prohibition ends, and folks like TerrAscend, companies like that, and some of these other MSOs that are demonstrating free cash flow generation, once you get rid of all these prohibition costs, the free cash flow profile of these companies really dramatically will accelerate, in my opinion. So I think there's tremendous opportunity. And what I would look for is solid management teams. I mean, we've seen instances in the past, maybe some companies have gone public too early, didn't have the background, the experience, etc. I think most of that's behind us, and right now it's a very bright light going into the future for the sector.
Okay, well, I mean, it certainly feels like the stars are getting aligned for this industry and various things. It is becoming more publicly accepted. We've got a patchwork now of states that have various ways of legalization, and perhaps federal will come at some point. So once we get through the pandemic. Well, thank you so much, Keith and Matt, for joining us and explaining I know a lot of people are really interested in this industry, so thank you so much.
All right, guys, so you watched the interview there with the CEOs, kind of feel out both CEOs of the companies, and I'm just going to do a quick rundown here on the Google and showing you their ticker symbols along with kind of their chart. First one is ticker symbol CNFN. As you can see here on the one-day chart, it's at 8 cents, guys. So this is one at 8 cents. Could be a, good MJ play. Now, if we do look at their chart, I must say, the chart, I don't know. The highest looks like it's been was like 10 cents. Up here was probably about the highest. This was about 10 cents. So the last 6 months hasn't been so good on the chart. And even here, we did get 11 cents back early last year of 2020. But the chart's been kind of flat. So on the chart standpoint, it's not looking pretty good on the chart if you're asking me. But for a cheap 8 cents, is this something that you could be possibly willing just to throw $100 in it? Grab a bunch of shares, hang on to it, and if it jumps up, see what happens. It's 8 cents. So it is low, it is high risk in a sense, but I wouldn't recommend or even suggest putting any large amounts of money in this. I would consider this a great gamble play. This is a gamble play. As you know, any OTC stock is a gamble. Now, guys, this one here, the TerraSend Corp, ticker symbol on this one is TRSSF. TRSSF. Now, guys, this one here, I must say, I was really intrigued when I looked at the chart. Now, the 1 day on this does not look good, and we will go over what happened on why the 1 day kind of did that. But what I want to show you is here kind of more of the 1 year chart. Look at that 6-month chart. Guys, this stock back, let's just go here. It was like $4. It was $5, $6. You can see it has a beautiful 6-month chart. If we look at the 1 year chart, look at that beautiful 1 year chart. I must say this is a chart that you do want to see. And as you can see, it's kind of dipping down a little bit. As you can see, it does it. It gets a nice run. People sell out, take some profits, and what's it do? It climbs up slowly again. We get a huge spike, and then it sells off. And then boom, it goes back up, sells off, back up, and sells off. But here is the reasoning. Terra ascends strong Q4 results, but not enough to justify the valuation. So that is what happened, guys. That is why we had to sell off here today. Guys, this stock was here at $14.38, so it dropped about $1 today from those highs right there. So it's still, I think, over long term, this would be a good one to pick up. Like I said, though, I don't know, man. OTC stock at $13? Woo! I don't know if I ever seen. I thought, we were getting kind of, well, I guess I'm wrong now because we got the score, which is like 20-some, dollars a share, or close to $30 a share on the OTC market, because they did a reverse merger, and now I think they did a 10 to 1 they did, which is why the stock is so outrageous. So I just found this company. I don't know if they did any reverse splits. I haven't dug that deep into it. I just wanted to bring you those CEO interviews and bring you 2 MJOTC stocks that I know no one else is talking about, because that interview there, has some great information in it, and 2 new companies in the MJ space. So guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and join the Thumbs Up Nation. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Remember to buy the dip, baby. Let's go.